Imagine a universe where Earth is just a footnote in the grand story of interstellar civilizations, where humans, the latecomers to the galactic stage, are seen as primitive, insignificant, and utterly unprepared for the vast political, technological, and military power of the cosmos. Now imagine that against all odds, this fragile species not only survives, but rises to dominate the stars. This isn't just a story of conquest, it's a story of defiance, resilience, and the unrelenting human will to adapt and overcome. For centuries, humanity had looked up at the stars and wondered what was out there. When the first radio signals were sent beyond Earth's atmosphere, no one could have imagined they would one day lead to our species standing shoulder to shoulder with intergalactic powers. But the road to dominance wasn't paved with destiny, it was carved out of struggle. When the first alien contact occurred, it wasn't the dramatic, war-ridden invasion people had feared. Instead, it was disappointment. The galactic community had long been aware of Earth, but saw humans as nothing more than an undeveloped, quarrelsome species, barely capable of interplanetary travel. We were ignored, categorized as irrelevant, and denied access to the advanced knowledge and resources that could have propelled us forward. In the grand scale of the universe, we were ants trying to converse with giants. But humanity had something the other species didn't anticipate: a unique combination of adaptability, ambition, and an insatiable drive for progress. While older civilizations had grown complacent in their technological superiority, humans thrived in adversity. Every conflict, every disaster, every setback in history had honed the survival instincts that would become our greatest weapon. The breakthrough came when humanity's first deep space explorers encountered the Takari, a mid-tier alien species with a rigid bureaucratic empire. Unlike the more advanced galactic factions, the Takari saw potential in humans, not as equals, but as useful subordinates. They offered Earth limited trade agreements, access to basic technology, and a place as minor players in the galactic economy. It was a calculated move to keep humans controlled, ensuring we remained dependent and manageable. But what the Takari didn't understand was how quickly humans could reverse engineer, innovate, and repurpose even the most rudimentary alien technology. Within a single generation, Earth had leaped centuries ahead. Human scientists and engineers broke through technological barriers at a staggering pace, merging alien advancements with their own creative problem-solving. Unlike the rigid methodologies of older species, humanity approached technology with a reckless ingenuity that produced results no one expected. Alien starships designed for peaceful exploration were transformed into agile warships. Energy-based tools were repurposed into weapons. Humanity's resourcefulness became a growing concern for the galactic elite, who began to recognize the danger of an underestimated species clawing its way to power. But technology alone wasn't enough to cement humanity's place among the stars. The true test came with the Orion conflict, an interstellar war that broke out between two dominant species, the Zavani and the Kel. For centuries, these factions had maintained a balance of power, with neither side able to gain the upper hand. Humanity, still considered a minor participant in galactic affairs, was largely ignored in the early days of the war. But when trade routes collapsed and economies crumbled under the weight of the conflict, humans seized the opportunity to fill the void. Earth became a hub of innovation, mass-producing starships, weapons, and cybernetic enhancements at a speed that defied logic. Unlike other species that required centuries to integrate new technology, humans adapted overnight. Mercenaries, pilots, and strategists from Earth entered the war as independent contractors, selling their expertise to the highest bidder. The sheer unpredictability of human tactics turned the tide of battles that had been stagnant for decades. Where other species fought with calculated precision, humans introduced chaos, unconventional strategies, deception, and a willingness to sacrifice in ways that left the enemy stunned. The galactic community took notice. Humanity, once dismissed as insignificant, had become a force that could no longer be ignored. But with power came fear. The most influential alien civilizations now saw Earth as a threat, and the idea of humans gaining too much influence sparked discussions of intervention. The question was no longer if humans could conquer the stars, but whether the universe would allow it. The moment humanity was seen as a threat, the galaxy's ruling powers could no longer afford to be indifferent. The Celestine Council, a coalition of the most advanced civilizations, convened in a secret assembly to discuss the human problem. To them, Earth was a wild card, a species that defied the natural order of galactic progression. Most civilizations had taken millennia to reach spacefaring dominance, evolving under strict hierarchies and rigid traditions. But humans were different, driven by an unpredictable blend of aggression, creativity, and defiance that shattered conventional wisdom. The Council knew that if left unchecked, humans wouldn't just integrate into the galactic order. They would rewrite it. The initial response was diplomatic suppression. Humanity was denied access to key trade routes, locked out of advanced scientific forums, and subjected to strict technological embargoes. Any attempt to expand beyond assigned star systems was met with bureaucratic hurdles enforced by powerful species that had no intention of letting humans rise unchecked. To the Council, this was a calculated move to stunt humanity's growth before it became uncontrollable. But they had underestimated one crucial element. Humans had never relied on permission to achieve greatness. Smuggling networks, black market tech deals, and espionage became Earth's silent weapons. Where other species played by the rules, humans found ways around them. Covert teams infiltrated alien research facilities, extracting knowledge that had been hoarded for millennia. Underground engineering hubs on Mars and Titan reverse-engineered forbidden technologies, producing starships and weapon systems far beyond what Earth should have been capable of. The more the galactic elite tried to suppress humans, the more relentless they became. Every blockade, every restriction, every attempt to hold them back only fueled their resolve. It was only a matter of time before someone made a move that would ignite a war. That move came in the form of the Ilarian Strike, a coordinated attack by an elite alien task force against human-controlled shipyards in the Epsilon Eridani system. Under the pretense of enforcing galactic law, powerful warships descended upon human installations, targeting factories and research stations in an attempt to cripple Earth's growing military-industrial complex. What they didn't expect was that humans had already prepared for this moment. The battle that followed became known as the Epsilon Reckoning, a turning point in galactic history. The attacking forces anticipated an easy victory, believing humans to be ill-equipped to handle a direct assault from superior alien fleets. But instead of retreating, humanity fought with a level of ferocity that shocked the galaxy. The defenders didn't rely on sheer firepower. They relied on tactics no alien commander had ever encountered. Ambushes, electronic warfare, cyber attacks that turned enemy ships against each other. Every trick humanity had learned from centuries of war on Earth was unleashed in the vacuum of space. When the dust settled, the impossible had happened. Humanity had not only survived the attack but repelled it. The alien task force, once thought invincible, had been shattered. The footage of human warships maneuvering with impossible precision, of soldiers in advanced combat suits taking down heavily armed alien troops, spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The message was clear. Earth was no longer just a rebellious upstart. It was a power to be reckoned with. But while the battle had secured humanity's place among the stars, it had also drawn the attention of enemies far more dangerous than any they had faced before. The Celestine Council could no longer afford to treat humans as a nuisance. They had to make a choice: accept humans as equals or crush them before they could rise any further. The decision that followed would determine the fate of humanity and the galaxy itself. The Celestine Council had made its decision. Humanity was too dangerous, too unpredictable to be left unchecked. A full-scale suppression campaign was set in motion, one that would bring the combined might of the most powerful civilizations against a single species. The plan was simple: overwhelm Earth's forces before they could retaliate. Alien fleets mobilized in secret, preparing for a swift and decisive war that would erase humanity's influence before it could truly take root. But there was one critical flaw in their strategy. The Council still believed that humanity played by the same rules as other species, that they would panic, surrender, or negotiate when faced with superior firepower. What they didn't realize was that for humans, war wasn't just a matter of survival, it was their greatest teacher. From the moment the first interstellar battle had been fought, Earth had been learning, adapting, and preparing for this exact moment. By the time the invasion began, humanity had already anticipated every move. Intelligence networks had intercepted communications, decoding the Council's battle strategies before a single shot was fired. Defensive stations were no longer just outposts. They were fully armed fortresses equipped with weapons designed to counter alien technology. The moment enemy fleets entered human space, they were met with an onslaught of firepower unlike anything they had faced before. Yet brute force wasn't what won the war. It was humanity's ability to turn weakness into strength. Every loss, every setback was analyzed in real time, with strategies shifting instantly to counter the enemy's next move. AI-driven battle systems coordinated fleets with inhuman precision, predicting attacks before they happened. Human commanders, unbound by the rigid doctrines of older species, made bold, irrational, and sometimes suicidal decisions that completely shattered conventional tactics. The result was chaos. Chaos that only humans could thrive in. The turning point came at the Battle of the Void Rift, where the largest Allied fleet ever assembled attempted to push into Earth's core systems. The Council had brought its most advanced warships, confident that sheer numbers and superior technology would finally crush the human resistance. But instead of a desperate last stand, they were met with an ambush so devastating that it rewrote the course of history. Human forces, using experimental gravity weapons, tore apart entire fleets before they could react. Cybernetic soldiers, enhanced beyond anything the Council thought possible, boarded enemy ships and took control from within. Entire planets that had been considered mere colonies unleashed planetary defense systems capable of wiping out capital ships in a single strike. The battle was over before it truly began. What was meant to be humanity's annihilation had become the greatest military disaster in galactic history. For the attackers, the aftermath sent shockwaves through the universe. The Celestine Council, once the unchallenged rulers of interstellar politics, had been utterly humiliated. Their forces were in shambles, their authority shattered. But instead of pressing forward and seeking vengeance, humanity did something no one expected. They didn't demand revenge. They didn't seek to rule. They offered peace. It was this final move that secured humanity's place as the dominant force in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through control. The Council, weakened and desperate to avoid total collapse, had no choice but to negotiate. One by one, the old empires either allied with humanity or faded into irrelevance. Earth became the new heart of galactic civilization, not by force, but by proving that they were the species the universe could no longer live without. What had started as a species dismissed as insignificant had ended with humanity standing at the pinnacle of interstellar power. The underdogs had become the rulers, and the galaxy would never be the same again.